It's been 18 years since we last plugged into the Matrix, but does the reason we've returned justify the experience? Find out when we discuss the Matrix Resurrections. I'm Chad.
And I'm Matt.
You're listening to episode 36 of our podcast. We used to talk about this at work. So I just want to open and apologize to the audience. I am a little under the weather.
He got COVID.
How did you know I got the Omicron?
You got that Amarion.
But yeah. So my voice is cracking like I'm 15 years old again. So I'm gonna apologize for that. But yeah, I just want to get that out the way. And also, if you are listening to this on Spotify, listeners, Spotify just added ratings to the app, and please rate us 5 stars because we're one of your favorite podcasts. Do that for us. We love data. We love good ratings. We want more people to enjoy this experience. We're also on Google Podcasts, and that's a thing that exists. Our guest this week actually uses that. So we like to introduce John. And John, why do you use Google Podcasts?
I like Google Podcasts. It mostly just from a functional kind of position. I don't have any other options, and I'm on the Android side of things. So I would probably do Apple Podcasts if I could, because when I start searching for podcasts in Google Podcasts, it gives me a little bit of trouble. So yeah.
There are other options besides Google Podcasts on the Android side.
Yeah, I know. But then I got to look for them. And that seems like a lot of effort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, who are you, John?
I am your brother-in-law.
Yeah. So this is the last episode of 2021. And we wanted to have you on for the Father's Day episode, but you were out of town, and then we ended up not doing a Father's Day episode. So welcome.
Yes. Glad to be here. Glad to finally be here.
Yeah. So tell us, John, why are you trying to be our direct competition on YouTube?
So it's not even my desire as much as it's my kids, right? So I got 2 boys, and the oldest one, he's been watching lots of Nintendo YouTubers and specifically Switch YouTubers. And I kind of got him on it initially because I think I was watching like a speed run or something, and he just saw that there was Nintendo. And so like ever since then, he's been watching Nintendo stuff. Well, now he thinks that starting a YouTube channel is one of those nice, easy ways to make a big buck so that he can buy more games. Actually, so he can get more games for free. He used to watch Ryan's World, and he's like, oh man, they do all these unboxings. I can do that because he gets that stuff for free. And I'm a realist, and so I try not to be too harsh on it. But I'm like, I think Ryan's spent a lot of time doing it. He got to build up his viewers. He had to do all that. A lot of work to get there, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. Let's do this. So now I have questions. Chad, I know you've done some YouTube videos, and he's done some YouTube videos with you, which has fostered that interest in being on camera, and he really wants to be on camera. So anyway, I've just been trying to do my research on what all that takes, and I had what kind of gear you need, software, hardware, video editing.
You're overthinking it, John.
Dude, it takes so much. Like, I'm the kind of person, I do all the research. Like, I want to know everything I need to know before I start something. And because I want to be like 100% confident that if I'm going to do it, and if I failed, then it wasn't because I didn't know something. It was just because I was bad at it. And that's fine.
John, all you need is your camera phone and whatever you're going to unbox. Just let them know we're doing one take. So don't fuck this up.
And then we're just going to put it up on YouTube. I guess you got to get over the hurdle somehow. Right. And yeah. I got to work through that. I'll work through my overthinking it part for when it comes to starting up the channel. But I mean, one of the things he wants to do though, is he wants to record us. He wants to do a let's play. Right. So
okay.
So I was like, okay, well, that requires a video capture card, and we got to hook that up to a PC, and then it starts to add up. And at that point, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to invest some money and a lot of time in doing it, then now we got to make sure we
You
have
gotta
we have something to catch people and get people engaged with it.
you gotta
So
start small with that. Like just do unboxings.
I
But
think you're right.
Matt, haven't you gone down this road with your son?
Yes, I was. Yeah. It was called MJs World because yes, we stole it from Ryan when he was doing his stuff. So my son is 10 now, and the first video that we made, he was 5 or 6,
All right.
and it was just something I recorded on my phone of him opening up some Lego stuff, and I was like, no editing, one take, errors in there, stuff like that. Put that on YouTube. It got like four views, 4 likes. I don't even think he had a like. I think, but it was like 4 views, and then he was excited. So I was like, all right, let's do this again. And then we posted like just him playing and stuff like that. But then it kind of fell off of it. And then fast forward to when I get to Japan. So 2 years ago, he was back on it because he'd be on YouTube and everything. He wants to do it now, or now he's into like video games, like Switch and everything. So he wanted to do it again. So then I was like, all right, well, then I'm like, I have to edit it. He wanted an intro theme, had to do a design in there. It was just too time consuming. Then like once he got like was a Roblox and everything, then like you said, the video capture card, I was like, I
Seems
don't
like a
want
lot.
to do this. It is
Seems like so much.
the recording, it's the editing for me because
You don't even want to edit this podcast.
exactly. And I don't want I don't want to edit this podcast. And I definitely don't want to edit his stuff. So, but it's just time consuming. I know my thing is I'm trying to get him. I would rather have him do it himself, be able to edit, but we're not there yet, nowhere close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think every kid that watches something be like, I can do that, and I want to do that.
Yeah. Which
yeah,
don't just put that on kids, because like, why are we here right now?
Why we here? Because the world needs to hear our hot takes, our thoughts.
Right. But we were in that same position 36 weeks in, and we've just been fucking fumbling the whole goddamn time.
That is 100% correct. But we appreciate y'all staying with us, though.
Yeah, I think with the video capture side, and the editing, the thing that scares me the most about that is you've got all these different styles of YouTube videos that he's watching, right? He'll watch a Let's Play and it'll be pretty chill. He'll just be playing through the levels, having fun, pretty family friendly stuff. Then he'll watch the other ones, like on the Minecraft videos where he's watching those. And it's just people it's just some dude shouting the whole time and like cut, these fast cuts.
The PewDiePies of the internet.
PewDiePies, exactly. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend all this time shooting the video, getting the capture card, doing this whole editing thing. And then finally, we get it. I get something to show him. And he's like, no, you're doing it the entire wrong way. And I'm like, well, we shot for this way to do it. Now we got to do this whole thing all over again. And we had good content or whatever. And so it makes me, again, I'm probably overthinking it. And it's probably just fine. Like I can, once you got the video, then you can just kind of upload it, or you can edit it 2 different ways. I know it's not that hard, but like it still takes a lot of time to do it. So I don't want to spend 4 hours editing and then basically him shit on it,
Yeah, I mean, my advice is to stay away from the Let's Play stuff to begin with and just do unboxings and I'm gonna try weird foods and like just shit you can do in one take and little to no editing. That's my suggestion. So in pre-show you were talking about Mario 3 because you got a pretty cool poster behind you right now. What's going on with Mario 3?
Yeah, so we're talking about so we're kind of talking about the poster behind me. So my wife, she is really big into Mario 3 specifically. She loves playing Mario 3. She knows the ins and outs of it. And she could probably do a speed run if she really were to kind of
if you had a capture card, yes.
So like once we get there, if we get that capture card, now the whole family's in on this, And so she had actually found this Mario 3 poster, and I did not realize this. But the art on there, it was just really different from like what the cover art was. Because Mario 3, if you remember the box for NES, it was really just like yellow Mario, Tanuki Mario, I think, on the front. And that's about it. And this artwork is just like, it's got all the characters are in it. And so about 3 or 4 days ago, I was watching a video about Mario 3 and the differences between the Japanese and the American version. And then they showed the front of the artwork on the Japanese version of the box. And all of a sudden I see exactly the artwork that she had put into this poster. So I'm telling you this now. I don't even think I've told her yet where the origin of this is. But yeah, she was able to find this artwork, get it framed, put it up, but it's pretty sweet. It's got, I mean, there's not a ton of differences between the American and the Japanese version, but one of the things I didn't know is it has the same mechanics of Mario 1, where if you get hit by like a Goomba or something, then instead of like, if you're Tanuki and you get hit, you get downsized all the way down to little Mario instead of you slowly like getting moved down the chain.
Because Americans are worse video game players.
Exactly, because we're terrible people in general, and then the terrible video game players, and we get really upset with anything that's difficult for us. And so,
I mean, you say that in jest, but like our Mario 2 is not their Mario 2. So,
oh yeah, because what's that called over here?
The lost levels.
Lost levels, yeah. And
Matt,
which I remember playing.
Matt, I should not be spitting this Japan knowledge right now, sir. Where you at?
Why not? No, you guys are cooking. I'm here to correct y'all if y'all wrong.
Just say we literally have a resident expert over here.
But no, I have no idea. Elaborate. So what's the Mario 2 Japan version?
It's basically Mario 1, but harder. If that game came out now, it would be DLC.
Gotcha. I kind of want to play it now.
It's fucking hard. It should be on Switch Online.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in Nintendo Online and thinking to myself, man, the last time I played this, or last time I saw it was, I must have been 8 years old. And right. I think I might have played it, like picked it up at Blockbuster or something, and immediately raged because I couldn't figure it out.
Why am I dying every 2 seconds?
Yeah, it might have been my first experience with just being a terrible player at video games. Because I played
Ninja Gaiden?
No, like I played all the basic, Duck Hunt, Mario 1, American Mario 2.
Doki Panic.
Yeah. I didn't play too many other ones. Yeah, it was it's tough stuff. So yeah, so Mario 3, I kind of now want to find the Japanese version and like don't tell her that it's the Japanese version, but just suddenly have her play it and see what she does. Because then all of a sudden, yeah, she's gonna get hit, and then she's like, "What?" So again, I feel like that would be one of those fun YouTube videos. Like, hey, here's this person who doesn't even know that there's a different one, because I didn't know until 3 days ago. And yeah, and now she's playing it. And now her confidence just plummets. Yeah.
Yes.
Which makes good video. Makes terrible husband, but good video.
I was gonna say, yes, yeah. Good content. So, Matt, what have you been watching on Netflix, sir?
None too much. They have a new movie, that just came out last week called Unforgivable with Sandra Bullock. The synopsis is Sandra gets out of jail for she murdered a policeman, and she's trying to get her life together, but everybody she comes in contact with and stuff just sees her as a cop killer.
Interesting. So do they make commentary about how she's white?
Yes.
Okay.
Viola Davis is in it. Looks beautiful in this. But yeah, she talks about how, because her husband, Viola Davis' husband, is a lawyer, and blah, blah, blah. They meet up, and he's thinking about taking her case because she wants to be able to see her sister, who was like 5 years old when she went into jail. I think she spent, 20 years. But then she got out. I forget how, because her sister was 5 when it happened, and her sister's going into college. So 15 plus years she did time. And then Viola Davis said that because she came to the house looking for the lawyer husband, and Viola Davis talked about how when people see her, they see this white women who they want to help and everything else like that. Because if it was somebody black, they wouldn't be trying to give them a second chance or anything else like that. Yeah, so they do tap into that. But overall, it was an all right movie. I'm not telling you to pause this podcast and go listen to it, go watch the movie now. But if you have some free time, it's a nice little movie.
Okay. I won't check it out, but okay.
Right.
I might
if you're not
check that
going,
one out.
yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, I had time to kill because I took off work for my birthday.
Oh yeah, you're back to tell the story, huh?
Yeah, well, it's nothing crazy happened. Just went to a restaurant, and when I went to the restaurant with the family, I found one of the people I work with at that restaurant, and so they were like, "Oh, hey." Okay, I guess let me ask you a question. Say if you go out to a restaurant, say if you go out to a restaurant and you happen to see your boss, right? What would you say to your boss?
Hello.
I mean and then your boss introduces his wife to you. What would you say? Then after that, you
And well, to his face, I'd be like, "Nice to meet you." But in my head, I'd be like, "Oh man, she cute or ugly, whichever way that lands."
understandably, right? But the thing that got me was like when I introduced my wife to her and everything, they spoke a little Japanese, and then she was telling her, "Oh, I'm one of the best supervisors and everything. I'm so easy to talk to, and this, and that, and everything." And I appreciate it, but I was like, why would she bring this up? She'd have to volunteer this information. Why she just trying to gas me up in front of the wife? I don't know. I just felt that was strange. Or maybe I'm not just used to positive reinforcement comments.
That's terrible.
Yes. You have low self-esteem, Matt.
Maybe yes.
I don't know. I mean, that's a polite thing to say. Like, just like if you ran into like a friend or something while you're like out on a date, and that friend was all like, "Oh yeah, my Matt, he's a great guy." Like, just it is gassing you up, just making you look good and shit.
Well, for a boss, it kind of makes them look good too, right? Like this is the person that works for me. They're good people. I'm good people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I only hire the best kind of people, and even if your boss doesn't think that, it makes the boss kind of look good in front of whoever they're with,
right?
Because the next day I seen her and I was talking about her. I was like, "Were you drunk saying that kind of stuff the other day?" She was like, "Oh no, I really meant it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you."
See, there you go. Overthinking it, Matt.
I'm thinking if I met my boss and he was with his wife, I'd be like, you guys have a good night." And then that'll be it. And I'd go back to my table. I would be like, you married a great one right there. He's magnificent at work and stuff. So it was just like that part caught me off guard. But yeah, since we were talking about YouTube stuff earlier, Chad, what you got going on with YouTube and your battles?
For our Christmas episode, I edited just the part where we were talking about our favorite holiday movies and made that its own YouTube video with clips from those movies and trailers and all this fun stuff. And it took me like 2 days to put it together. And you know what happened when I uploaded that video, guys?
What happened?
I got 7 copyright claims.
7.
And one of them was so bad that it said a copyright holder won't even let you actually publish this video.
Did they tell you which one it was?
Yeah, it was NBC Universal. And apparently they own the rights to Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
The song?
The movie.
Oh, still.
So I had to distort the shit out of part of that section. And my whole thing is like, I don't understand how people do this for a living when you use clips from like other people's media. And like, yeah, you can say fair use, but the copyright holders don't really give a shit about that.
Was the clip longer than 30 seconds?
No. Well,
because
it was several clips, but
Oh.
some of the ones in question, no.
That's weird. I don't know why. I always thought it was a 30-second thing about fair use and all that, and that that they can't.
But they don't care about fair use. They
Yeah, that's
just
true.
want to just clamp down on their shit. And so I was talking to Matt about this earlier, and he was telling me about what's that man's name? That it was a YouTuber that does anime reviews, and they copyrighted claimed his whole channel basically. So his entire livelihood is gone.
That's messed up.
How long had he been doing that?
It was a couple of years. Like he
Oh
had a
man,
lot of videos on his channel. 2.5 years of work.
that's absurd. I don't know how you. I don't know how they can even find that. Like, so they came across his YouTube channel. They saw that he'd been doing this for 2 years, and then suddenly they got upset about it.
No,
Or
I don't
like
think I
maybe
don't
he was
think it's that they
monetizing.
came. I don't yeah, he was monetized. That was his entire job. I don't think they came across his channel. It's like, well, it's two ways. Either, they hire people to just go on YouTube or whatever and file copyright claims. And then also like YouTube's always updating shit. So like if the algorithm got updated, it's like, oh yeah, copyrighted material that needs to go right now.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I got a thing like that on Instagram, and they were like, your video has been blocked, copyright. And this video was like something I posted like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, do you want to dispute it? I was like, I don't care about this video now. This was 3 years ago. So all right, let's take it off. But yeah, like randomly I'll get something from years ago about, hey, this is copyright. Like I might have had music or something in the clip, and how, yeah, I guess they just, once they update it, they just find an old stuff now.
Yeah. And so you gotta be real careful even with old shit, because it's like YouTube channel that I follow, they got like a 2-week ban or something like that for a video that they posted like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, it's stupid. And it's like, even when you're trying to dispute this stuff, it's not like you can talk to a human.
Right.
So now this gets me back to that Let's Play, and now I'm wondering what's going to happen when Nintendo gets upset.
I
And
mean, it depends on the
that's always
company,
been,
because it's
yeah,
some companies that don't want you streaming their shit.
yeah, that's been a gray area, because I know that's an issue over on Twitch and everything
Yep.
is people streaming it, and then they get upset if you stream it right now, but then if you upload it to YouTube, then they don't get upset right now, but who knows when that's going to change.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
I don't
it's all a
know.
gray area.
And it always like kind of frustrates me when like you look at comments about this kind of topic, and they're like, oh, there just needs to be a competitor to YouTube. But it's like, that's not really practical, because YouTube, they like, YouTube costs so much money to upkeep that like it has to be like an Amazon or an Apple doing it. And like it's not worth the risk, because people can upload the craziest shit, and now you're at a fucking congressional hearing because
Yeah.
somebody's posting child porn on your website.
Well, yeah. Well, and they all do the same kind of copyright enforcement. They're all kind of doing the same thing anyways. So like you go to Twitch, right? There's been streamers who've been banned on Twitch, and then they move over to YouTube. And then the same thing will happen on YouTube, and they'll move over to Twitch, right? But in the end, the exact same policies are in place. So
Mm-hmm.
you might be able to get a bit of a runway over at some other platform. But once that platform is big enough, then that's when that's when they start coming after the new one. So even if there was a competitor, it wouldn't matter for very long.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, the big ones, the Apples and the Amazons, they're not going to touch it with a 20-foot pole, because they don't need the headache.
Correct. And it's like, I don't really, the way copyright is, and also the way humans are, and like just how we just let loose if you give us a little bit of leeway. Like, oh yeah, I can upload anything I want. Like,
Let me
I
test
don't
that out.
right. I
Yep.
don't see how you can actually make a sustainable business model out of like video distribution like this, like user created content
Yeah.
that also allows you to use like copyrighted material. Like, I guess short form like TikTok, but I don't know. I feel like there's been some shit on TikTok too. Like that's a lot of bad shit on TikTok.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's Well, and if you remember, like, this dates me. If you remember, like, the early days of YouTube, where it used to be that if the song, there used to not be a mechanism for you to use copyrighted content at all. So like they went one direction, right, where they said, all right, we're not going to do anything, and then all of a sudden they got sued by whoever, right? And then they made it so that you couldn't actually use any copyrighted music in your content for a while, until they finally struck up some deals with the content companies, right? The mostly the music companies. And then finally, once they struck up those deals, then they made it okay, you can do it, but then you're still probably going to get DMCA'd every now and then. So
Correct.
yeah, it's kind of a minefield. It makes me just not want to even touch it
So
sometimes.
just stick to the unboxing videos.
That's exactly right. That's real world stuff that I can touch and that they can't take out of my hands after I do it.
correct.
I like it.
All right. So this week we are going to talk about the latest Matrix movie, but we did a little bit of prep before we got there. We Matt and I rewatched the first three movies, and Matt rewatched the Animatrix as well. And then John has seen these movies. So we're just gonna kind of do like a quick little rundown of the first three Matrix movies. So what's you all's history with the series?
I'll start with mine. Mine is pretty limited. I remember watching and really being into the first Matrix movie for a while, right? And then I watched the second and the third one, did not understand what was going on. Watched the second and third one again, still didn't. And I think it was probably about the fourth time where I was like, okay, I think I appreciate this. I still don't totally get it, but that's fine. I accept this now.
Okay.
And I enjoy it as for all three films for what they are. And if I ever rewatch any of them, it's always just the first one. I mean, because I feel like if I watch the second or the third one on their own, then it doesn't really, there's a bit of a continuity issue that I have with, like, okay, I need to catch back up. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the original series, the trilogy, as it were.
I remember that I actually saw the first Matrix movie opening weekend at the movie theater. And I left that theater not liking what I saw. Really. And so I am someone that really gets swept up in the hype machine. So when they were like, oh yeah, Matrix is Reloaded, this shit's about to be fucking awesome, I was like, well, duh, about to fucking rewatch The Matrix. And I rewatched it for a second time and I loved it. I was like, this shit's fucking awesome. I don't know what was wrong with me. Matrix Forever, Neo, Trinity, Smith, let's fucking go. So I saw Matrix Reloaded and I was like, oh wait, what was wrong with me? This is a piece of shit. And so I never saw the third movie. And honestly, I did not know that you have even seen the third movie, John, because until you just said this, to my recollection, I never met a person that's seen the third one. Like, I've met plenty of people that have seen the first two, but not the third one.
So I knew that the second one. So now that you're saying it, I do remember after the second one, I remember thinking to myself, because I don't remember if it was opening weekend, but I definitely saw 1, 2, and 3 in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah. And because once I'm in it, like, usually I'm in it for the long haul. So like so when I'm watching that once I watched that first one, I was like, okay, I'm going to see this one through because I want to know how the story ends, which is kind of, for the Matrix, is kind of jacked up because I still don't understand how the story ended. Mm-hmm. But for one, I liked it the first go around. For two, I do now remember that after watching that, after the end of the movie, I did not get it. But if I recall, they released the third one like 9 months later. Was that right?
Yep. 2003 was what they called the year of the Matrix.
Because it was early in the year and then towards the end of the year. Right?
So it was like April, I think, that Reloaded came out. And then the next month, Enter the Matrix came out along with the Animatrix. And then at the end of the year, you got Matrix Resolutions. Okay. And yeah. I just feel like if this were now, even back then, like even with Lord of the Rings coming out, you don't fucking do that. Like, you give that shit a year to breathe. Yeah. Well, and I just remember the way that Reloaded ended was
such a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And it was such a, I don't know, like they've had a lot of practice nowadays, right? So if you watch, the Avengers films, you've got Star Wars to an extent, you've got a lot of these other ones where they've had these series and they've kind of done it in a better way where they split up the movies. It should have just been one big movie, or they should have actually cut it in a way like the second one. They should have just cut it in a way where it could have ended on its own and I not felt like, man, I missed out on a movie because I actually don't understand what happened. Right. Which is how I think most people felt after Reload. So I totally get why people saw that and were like, I am not spending any more of my money on this series anymore.
I don't ever remember watching it in the theater. I don't even remember watching the first two. I know I've seen it. I don't know where I've seen it at. I've never seen the third one till now. And I wish I had it. I hated the third one. Like, it's because, when you think of the Matrix, you think of the gravity-defying moves, the shooting and things like that.
You think of bullet time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
action.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
But I hated, like, they just spent too much time in the real world. I thought the fight scene in Zion with the machines, I thought that was fucking too long.
Yes.
I just hated everything about the third one.
So it was just to piggyback off that for a second. So like we spent like 30 minutes on that fight in Zion, and then like things kind of chill. And then Neo is doing his fight with Smith. And I'm like, wait, why weren't these two things happening at the same time? Like, why are we wasting time, like spending so much time on this one thing? We do something else, and then we're wasting more time doing this other thing. When these two things are the same thing, they should be happening at the same time.
Right. They just spent too much time. Like, think about the main general when he was shooting the gun at the machines.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that lasted like 30 seconds of him just shooting it. It was like it just took too much time. It was like, felt like we have a time of this movie that we need to hit. So we about to stretch some shit out where it was horrible. Like I don't know. I don't remember about the time stuff you guys said about when each movie came out, but I felt like nobody's seen the third one because this shit is trash and they must have spread through word of mouth. But yeah, there was nothing good about this movie. And I seen the Animatrix because you told me to watch it. I watched it thinking it's going to give me some backstory to this. And it's an hour. How long was it? An hour and it's like almost 2 hours. Yeah. I hate you for telling me to watch that.
Mm-hmm. Respect.
It's like a Black Mirror type of thing to where none of the episodes are connected to each other. Each episode has like different animation. It's like a different episode is told by somebody different, and it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they did this.
Same. So I have never seen the Animatrix, and so I was like, oh yeah, if we're gonna do this whole road to Matrix 4, we need to go all in. And I got like 2 stories into it, and I was like, nah, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. So I'm saying I'm sorry to you, Matt. I'm sorry.
I watched all of it.
Yeah, in this rewatch, I didn't like any of these movies. Like, I can appreciate the groundbreakingness of the first Matrix. I can appreciate like them giving like some slight tidbits of like the greater universe. Like, I can appreciate those things. I didn't really like how it was put together because like I feel like it was just they spent too much fucking time fighting. Like, I forgot how long that end sequence was where, they rescue Morpheus, and then the helicopter gets shot down, and then they're fighting in the subway, and then they're fighting in the office building, and then he kills Neo, and Neo comes back to life, and he kills Smith. I'm like, why did this fight sequence take an extra 40 fucking minutes?
Because they had to make 2 extra movies out of it.
No, I'm talking about the first movie, the very first movie.
One. Oh.
Yeah, like this guy kicked off with the famous like shooting in the lobby and all that fight scene, and it's just like the whole second half of the movie was one long ass fight scene to save Morpheus.
Yeah,
I like the second one better in general.
I didn't hate it as much, but my thing is with the second and especially the third one, they started like really like getting high off of themselves. And like they were really like, oh yeah, the one is this and that, and like really just hyping up like the whole lore of the Matrix. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. And like honestly, this shit don't make any goddamn sense. So no. And yeah, I hated the third one. Like the only reason I didn't turn it off because like I was actually getting angry that I was watching that shit because I was like, I turned off Animatrix. I have to finish this.
Well, the only reason why I watched it is because of the podcast. Because as I was watching it, like the whole fight, like I go back to that whole fight scene in Zion and the Gist Machine. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. I don't. It was just hard to watch and it was just so time consuming. And then like, cause I watched it back to back to back. So you were saying like high off their shit. I'm like, all right, the first one, you know, when they're shooting in the lobby, you see the bullets raining down from the guns. And it was like the second movie, the bullets raining from the bullets falling down from the gun in slow motion. And then it's like the third one, every time it's like the bullets raining down from the guns in slow motion. I was like, is this your thing that you guys are going to do every movie? Maybe I wouldn't felt that way if there was time, space between each one. But since I watched them all back to back, I was just like, it's redundant. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. And I enjoyed the fight scenes in the first one and the second one. I felt the fight scene in the third one with him and Smith was too long. But I did like on the second one, I did like the highway chase stuff, but it just wasn't, it felt like they ran out of gas on these movies. So they were like, all right, we got to finish this up. So let's try to do it. And to go and I'll save it for the when we actually get into the review of the movie.
Okay. So before we jump to the review, I would just want to ask, did either of you play Enter the Matrix?
No.
Okay. So this was the video game tie-in with the Matrix Reloaded. And the kind of cool and also the kind of stupid thing was, so they filmed 2 and 3 together. And while they were filming those 2 movies, they filmed actual scenes with Jada Pinkett Smith's character. But instead of putting those in the movie, they put those in the video game. So if you want to understand some things that maybe didn't make sense in the second movie, you need to have played the video game.
But not animate. You can't. So watching Animatrix does not give you context.
Correct.
But the 18 people who played the video game,
correct.
Right.
They actually know what's going on the whole time. Okay.
Correct. But yeah, so that was a waste of time and money. So yeah.
So I do have a question on 2 and 3, and this is for both of you.
Okay.
If instead of making 3 movies, because this was always my question about like 2 and 3, is if they had just made a 2 and then cut down both of those movies, 2 and 3, into just being a better 2 movie, would that have made a lot more sense? I feel like for me it would have, because I remember 3 was they just spent a lot of time on everything, and it just felt extended. But there were also long movies already, so I don't know how much longer they should have been, but I just feel like a bit more editing and they could have shoved that into one was fine, like whatever. And then for 2 and 3, if they had just been able to consolidate, I think that has made that a much better experience.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
yeah, because they did too, because they go into too much in the second and third movie to where you got the Oracle, you got the Architect, you got the machine stuff.
Yeah, that guy that protects the Oracle, that guy too.
Right. You got the Smith story. You have the Fighting Zion story. You have the subway with where he meets the little girl,
the conductor, and Merovingian,
right? Lockmaker or something.
Right. You have the Lockmaker stuff. It's just too much stuff going on to where
you got werewolves. You got fucking werewolves.
Right. It's just too, like, maybe, they could have took some of that shit out and then made the second one and like you said, combine the second and third one, because I go back on this because you can see how much it irked me. That battle didn't need to be that long.
No,
they could have just the whole them showing each one shooting the missiles at the little drilling thing. You didn't need none of that. Actually, all that shit could have went out. Like a lot of that shit could have been cut down. I would have cut 60% of that battle.
Yeah,
and
because
just,
also the battle they spent all that time on the battle. Trinity and them come in with the EMP, and they're like, all right, cool, the battle not over, and then the battle keep going.
Right. So you had all this for no reason.
Correct. And then it didn't even mean anything in the end for Neo to come through and have his Superman fight.
No.
And also that thinking about that fight, I know they did it for the dramatic touch of it being in the rain. I hated it being in the rain.
They overuse rain in movies too much.
Yeah.
That's a strong take right there.
It's true.
It's true. It's true.
All right. With all that being said, this week we review The Matrix Resurrection.
They taught you good. Made you believe their world was all you deserved. But some part of you knew that was a lie.
It's so easy to forget how much noise the Matrix pumps into your head. Something else makes the same kind of noise.
War.
I saw this in a dream. My dream ended here.
60 years have passed as Neo and Trinity save what was left of the human race after the battle with the machines. Now, with Neo unplugged again, he must save Trinity from this new version of the Matrix.
So, John, what were your thoughts on this movie?
So I didn't have high expectations. I think that helped me. I think it's all right. It's better than I thought it was going to be, which, to be honest, was trash, because I figured that they had already told the story that they needed to tell, or that they felt that they needed to tell with the first three movies. And as we discussed about the first three movies, it's not like they didn't have all the time to tell that story. So if it didn't make, I didn't think that there was going to be anything to it. And then, yeah, in watching this one, I think there's a lot of the fan, I don't know, it felt like that they were trying to do the fan stuff that Star Wars, episode 7 did, but without nearly the size fan base that Star Wars has. And so there's going to be a few people who are just really into it and like, yeah, awesome, I get to see Neo again and Trinity and everybody else. And then there's going to be the rest of us who are like, okay, well, that's cool. Okay, what's this, why is this story any different? And so that's my only question, is why is this story any different? And then, it seems, I know, Matt, you mentioned redundant before, and I can't help but say if it feels a bit redundant.
I agree. I texted Chad after I got done watching this, and I sent him a meme of Cardi B in my Cardi B voice. What was the reason? Yeah. Like the trilogy ended in this, I would say, nice little bow, nice long bow. They ended this, but the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, why did this have to happen? So I'm going to skip along through this because, all right, towards the end fight, when they're on the motorcycle, I hated that Neo is all of a sudden fucking Darth Vader using the Force every single time to push these people away.
All he knows is Force push.
Right. Yeah. And what happened to, going back to the thing was the fight scenes, the gravity, the gravity shit, them jumping and doing everything. Correct me if I'm wrong. They had the first fight scene in when Neo first got there against New Morpheus, which wasn't that much. Then they had the fight scene where he first meets the new Mr. Smith, and then the fight scene in the bar. All the other stuff was storytelling, and I kept going back. Why are we doing this? Why not? And the story didn't really make sense. It was, if I felt like Coming to America 2, where they was like, hey, remember that first movie we did? Remember that other movie we did? Let's throw back all that stuff into this one and make some more money, to where they kept
referencing
and
not even just referencing. They was like, not hey, you remember that? If you don't remember, let me show you a clip from that shit.
I hated that too. Why are you? Right. You know how much I hate when like they reference other shit and they show me stuff. If I was there, I know I seen it. I hated all that stuff. It's like I had high hopes in the sense of like the action and everything. What the Matrix was known for. I didn't really care for the storyline, but they didn't give me none of that, and it was confusing.
Yeah. Okay. So confusing. Yes. Can anybody explain to me what did they do to get Trinity out of that pie? Because I did not understand why they had to get that girl to plug in, but then she was on the ship in the end of it. Like what?
And then Trinity suddenly had her Matrix Force power stuff, which she didn't have until they switched. I don't know. I was very confused by that scene. It's a bit confusing because you also have, like you said about the fight scenes with Neo, like he's doing all this Force stuff, and like the whole beginning of the movie, they're talking about how he doesn't believe that actually even happened anymore, right? Or that these are all just this things that he's working through with his therapist, right? That's the whole way that the movie begins, and then suddenly he's in the Matrix and he just knows all this stuff, and there's no build up to why he knows that. And then with this whole Trinity thing, they're doing that switch, and now she all of a sudden is able to have the full amount of powers. But I don't get why that girl was the reason for it. And also, I thought that they said in the original that if they unplug you like that quickly, that it'll like mess up your brain or do something weird to you. So
they did explain that. They said that. Oh no, wait, they didn't. No, I was talking about how they were like, does she have to take the pill? And they were like, no, as long as she does it willingly, then it's okay. But yeah, like you said, yeah, I take that back. They didn't answer that question about doing that. But
so I thought that would, because they said we can't just, like in the original ones, they said we can't just unplug Neo. He's got to leave, like he's got to go to a door or some other way.
Right.
And maybe did they explain that?
Not really, because even in the first one, if you recall, when that guy betrayed them, he started unplugging people and they just died.
Yeah.
Right. And also, like when Neo had that fight scene, the first time he meets Smith, he was like, oh, I still remember Kung Fu. But then when he was like, can you fly? And he did the thing and the ground started moving and he was like, no. Why can't he fly?
Right. Not explained.
Like he remembers all his other stuff, but he can't remember to do this one.
No, he doesn't remember all his other shit, because all he can remember is how to force push and how to block a couple of punches.
Right. And also I didn't like that either, where he's blocking all the bullets on the rooftop with the helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like that part dragged out too long to where he was doing it, because you would think that if he can do this stuff and he redirected the missile that was shot, redirect these bullets or something, just don't do that. It was basically redundant. And hey, we're about to cash off the trilogy, and we're about to do this, and we're just going to take what the original Matrix was, and we're going to make a new version of it using the exact same thing. Instead of telephone, we don't have telephone booths and stuff anymore. Let's use mirrors. We can't.
Okay. So I like that. I like that. This is a different time. This is a different version of the Matrix. Like, these are different people. Like, a lot of time has passed. So like the methods are going to change, right? So like, instead of like you getting out through, no, okay. So they don't belong in the Matrix. When you jack into the Matrix, you don't belong. You shouldn't be there. So I really liked how they were using backdoors in the code and like basically cheating in the Matrix to get around where they need to go. Like I thought that was like really smart because like why would you play by the rules of the Matrix?
But there's the concept of the phone booth is an interesting one though, right? Because isn't the whole thing with the Matrix is that this is this artificial world anyways. So the machines can have whatever they want. Like, and they just, because in the old Matrixes, they always said they're restarting the Matrix or something else. And there's all these different versions of Neo because there's all these different versions of the Matrix or whatever. And the fact that technology evolves in the real world doesn't necessarily need to apply in the Matrix. So maybe now, I guess maybe the Matrix, they got rid of phone booths. I don't know. Shit. Maybe I'm overthinking it again. See, it's what it does.
Right. Any attempts to put logic into it, you're like, well, the way they structured this, you can't make logic through it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they don't have to do that. They don't have to play by anybody's rules. And I respect them for that.
And the thing I thought was the most like 2021 thing I thought was when Neo goes back to not Zion. What's the new home called?
IO.
You realize this is the man who saved their world, stopped the war, right? He should be a hero, right? He should be a savior, whatever you want to call it. As soon as he gets there, and his old friend puts him in jail. And I was like, wait, what are we doing here?
I mean, I feel like that's some straight commentary because like if someone came along and was like, I am Jesus Christ, here is undisputed proof I am who I say I am, people would be like, fuck you.
No, that's why that's why I said that's the most 2021 thing, that he will come back here, the one, and they will put him in jail.
But I really liked this movie until we got to the part where Agent Smith confronted him and he was like, hey man, I was still feeling it. He's like, hey man, look, I'm feeling like my old Agent Smith self. Stop jacking into the Matrix and just let me take this motherfucker over. And I was like, all right, I like where this is going. And then the next scene, he's like, also, I'm going to kill you. And I was like, wait, what? And from that moment forward, the movie just fell apart for me.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it at all. I do like seeing Keanu Reeves though.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Keanu Reeves now?
Right. So, but besides that, it's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah. Fuck this whole series.
This it didn't need to be made, and it, I ain't gonna say tarnish the legacy, but it's like they did it for a cash grab.
Yes, and I also, I fucking hate this in movies where they do something and the characters in the movies reference how what they're doing is stupid, but they feel like as long as I reference that this is stupid, I can keep doing it. Like, so they kept referencing, oh yeah, the studio, they're making us do a reboot of this shit. It's not going to be good, but what are you going to do? Like, just because you're referencing that does not make this okay.
Right. Because I was like, exactly. When he's like, oh, we bought by Warner Brothers and everything, I was like, okay, we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So
also when Neil Patrick Harris is like, we got new bullet time up in this motherfucker, it's like, y'all really think y'all clever right now, don't y'all?
Right. Just to be clear, so Morpheus died, right?
Oh, I forgot all about that. Yes, Morpheus died in the real world, but the Morpheus we have in this movie is a computer simulation. And my thing is like, we didn't need that. Like, if Lawrence Fishburne said, I'm not coming back for this shit, just let his character be dead.
Right.
And I like that actor, but the man basically did a rehash of his performance in Watchmen.
I haven't seen Watchmen.
You have seen Watchmen?
Not all of it.
Oh, okay. Let me stop.
But yeah. Yeah, it was just they were just trying to piggyback off the old thing,
Yeah.
what they used to have.
Is there a nostalgia train for the Matrix? Was there one? I don't know.
I don't think so,
It
but
goes back to that question of like, who asked for this, right?
the original movie came out like 21 years ago.
Okay.
So
So they're just trying to they're trying to get kids on this. That's the thing.
yeah, and it's
They're trying to
like
hook the new ones.
I feel like you can have that Star Wars magic, but you can't keep like showing clips from like the other movies. It's like it's nothing wrong with referencing old shit to
Yeah.
make me want to go see those original movies, but don't show me.
It's just cheap. Yeah, it did strike me as odd that they would actually just show the clips instead of just saying something about it and then
Yeah.
making me have to go back and double check.
Right.
Which I would probably still be annoyed by, but just in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. What do you guys think the Rotten Tomatoes is on this movie?
Man, I don't know because on my on my Facebook groups and social media, I hear some people saying, "Oh, this one was great," and other ones, "This is bad." So I'm gonna lean with my counterpart and say this movie was bad. So I give it a 55.
I'm guessing it's about a 60. Yeah, 65. Yeah,
66.
that sounds about right.
Here's the trivia question. How many actors from the first three movies returned? A, 4, B, 6, C, 8, D, 10.
All right, you got Niobe, you got Neo, you got Trinity.
4, 6, 8, 10.
I go with 4 because I can't think of anybody else.
I'm gonna go with 4 also.
All right. So you have Keanu Reeves, Neo, Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity, Jada Pinkett Smith, Niobe, Lambert Wilson, the Merovingian. Then you've got Daniel Bernhardt. He's Agent Johnson. So he's one of the agents from the first movie. He came back, and when they redid that part at the beginning of this movie where they redid Matrix 1.
Oh,
And then also you have Clayton Watson. You remember that annoying ass kid from the second and third movies?
Yeah.
The motherfucker that was like, I want to enlist in the army. He's like, how old are you? I'm 18.
oh yeah.
He came back. So the answer is 6.
Who was he in the movie?
He's the same character.
I don't remember him at all. Then.
He was in the back when they went to IO.
Oh, okay.
So those last two are technicality.
Yes. But they did come back. At 148 minutes, this is the longest Matrix movie. That's interesting because I still feel like the third one was the longest one.
Yeah, I was about to say exact same thing. Yeah.
Right. But the man who plays Thomas Anderson's reflection is Carrie-Anne Moss's real life husband. And I feel like they missed a huge opportunity to have his reflection be Will Smith, since we all know Will Smith turned down the role of Neo.
Right.
And you already had Jada Pinkett Smith doing shit for the movie. I just feel like if this movie was like making all these stupid ass references to shit, like that's a reference that you just leave on the table. Like, what the fuck?
Right. I can see that. That'd be a good Easter egg for people who didn't know that.
Right. But I don't know. But all right, that takes us to the end of this. John, thanks for coming on, man. It was a lot of fun.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Chad. It's been nice meeting you.
Thank you for being on. I appreciate it. Do you want to plug anything before we go?
I got nothing to plug. No.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate, like, and review our podcast on your platform of choice. And if you have any feedback, please email us at weshouldtalkpod@gmail.com. Like our Facebook page, We Should Talk About This at Work, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at We Should Talk Pod. And like always, I don't know if this was a good episode. I don't know if this was a bad episode. Whatever you think about it, talk about it at work. Thank you for listening.